ton of prospect call-ups at each level. I talk about those and the ones that could be happening in the near future. MLB Pipeline just put out its top 100 updated list, as well as Baseball America's updated farm system list. I react to both. They were both pretty funny. We'll get into that more. I do Bowman Buy, Hold, Sell, your favorite segment, with 11 prospects. I chose 11 because I added the #1 overall prospect in all of baseball to that list. Find out whether I'm buying, holding, or selling. Who's going to stay at the lower levels in A and A+, and why I'm loading up on those guys specifically with the possible lockout coming. And for our cover story, I predict the top 20 prospects going into 2027. I'm really excited for that one. I did this in the winter, and I'm giving you an updated list. All of that and more. This is your MLB Prospect Show, the Farm Report. Let's talk about rankings to start. Usually we go into quick hits. I'm going to talk about my reaction rankings and some of the updates. First up, everyone who follows To The Bigs knows this. I do not care about rankings. Nobody should care about rankings. That includes not just MLB Pipelines, not just Baseball America's, mine as well. Everyone's. There's a top 100. If someone is 46 versus 47, or 50 versus 51, or 12 versus 13, it doesn't matter. Go look at the past 5-10 years of MLB Pipeline top 100s. No one ever gets it right. Of course, there's too many unknowns. Even someone needing to be 25 over 35, right? I'm still going to criticize some things that they put out, but it doesn't matter because no one ever really gets a lot of this right. I do rankings because it brings in new fans. When you look at my posts, just like anyone else's, the most engaged with posts on social media are rankings posts. And most of them are people that have never watched the show, that have never read a single write-up online, and they will be quick to just absolutely tear you apart. You know how many times I've gotten the comment, "You don't know ball?" And I love it. It's hysterical. These guys are really funny. I give them credit. They're I don't know. One guy had like 7 followers, and his name was Smother Effer, and he was trying to tell me a 9-follower account with that account name used to be in baseball operations for a general manager for a team, and told me that I know nothing about baseball. But my point being is, it doesn't matter. I got killed for putting Colt Emerson outside the top 20 this offseason. People were ready to tell me that I shouldn't even be allowed to speak on baseball. And look what happened. But then I underranked Kevin McGonigal. Last year, I pushed Roman Anthony out of the top 5, and people were ready to come at me with pitchforks. But I've missed things and I've hit things. And just like every other prospector, they miss and they hit things too. What you do is, and I do the rankings to get more fans. And then those fans, I hope most of them don't. You guys do. Watch the show. Read a write-up with analysis, with data, with metrics. Those are what matters. When I pick sleeper picks for teams, I'm picking guys that I believe in. I'm not saying that they should be ranked top 5 or top 3, but these are guys that I believe, based off the metrics, based off the video, that they should be better or more known than they are, and that tends to lead to a lot of guys that are. Trust your prospect instinct. Listen to mine, follow other outlets. I'm always said, I have people reach out talking about their outlets and all of that. I will never say, don't listen to this, don't listen to that. I just say, take everything with a grain of salt, and you can take mine with a grain of salt as well. With that said, there are some things that drive me nuts. For example, MLB puts out its top 100. This is the first one that includes draft picks. What MLB Pipeline has always done, has always overvalued new draft picks, puts them way ahead of guys who have been in the minors, hitting extremely well at high levels at good ages. 2 people that moved down that shouldn't have were Josue Paula and Rainiel Rodriguez, 2 of the best hitters in the minor leagues right now. Rainiel Rodriguez should not be the 18th ranked prospect in baseball. That's where things get a little drastic. That is a top 5, top 7 prospect if you really want to overvalue the defensive limitations, which again, he's 19 years old, he's working through. I have people telling me he'll never catch a day in his life. He's a certified DH. That's preposterous. He's still young, he's still developing, and there's word from that camp that he actually looks pretty comfortable back there, even in AA at 19 years old. A lot of people like to say, oh, these guys are completely done. Just like a hit tool, just like a power tool, people want to say, oh, this 19-year-old can't play the field. He's still learning. Give it time. Of course, if he's absolutely horrendous, it's a different story. But Rainiel Rodriguez should not be the 18th best prospect. That's just insane. So when you have drastic things like that, that's where we can start to criticize. But again, everyone can criticize mine and say the same things, but I'm going to criticize MLBs because they come out and they are affiliated with the MLB. And a lot of people base the market off that. And Rainiel Rodriguez, there's every stat is showing that he's hitting better than Made and Leo Vries at the same level, AA, at the same age, and no one talks about it. That's MLB Pipeline. I hate the recency bias of draft picks and how they undervalue performance on the field. They are all about projection, which is fine, but some things just don't make sense. Baseball America did the top farm system rankings, and they put the Rays 1. I think the Cardinals were like 2 or 3. I think the Brewers and Dodgers were like 2 and 4 or 2 and 5. The Dodgers and Brewers are the best prospect systems in baseball. 1 and 2, whichever one you want to put first is fine with me. They completely overvalued middle depth, meaning they said the Cardinals are 3 because they had a really good draft and they have a ton of mid-tier prospects. Whatever anyone says, that's not what makes a system. Baseball, there's hundreds of prospects, a few of them make it in each organization. If you have a depth of top tier prospects, that should be way overvalued than a bunch of guys who could be utility guys with solid projections. Rank the Dodgers and the Brewers 1 and 2 is crazy when you have the depth of prospects who can be MLB starters is crazy to me. Now, if you want to forget everything I just said, that's no problem. Besides, don't listen to rankings. Follow your gut. Rainiel Rodriguez is still the number 1 prospect in my eyes. Even if you have him top 5, don't let that be like, oh, he dropped down, or Josue to Paula. Nothing changed with his projection. He is one of the best, highest projected prospects in baseball, even though he fell a few spots. And that's all I can say about prospect rankings. With that, we're going to talk about my projected top 20 of 2027, but I promise the same thing. This is not going to be the top 20 of 2027, but take it with a grain of salt of what I think these prospects who are going to move up, that you can understand, okay, this is who I want to go after. These are the guys I want to stash going into the season. Do not use it like, oh my God, this guy should be 2 and 7, because it's not going to end up that way. But it goes to show you how confident I am on specific guys and where I think they will trend. With that, let's get into our quick hits. A lot to talk about with a lot of prospects on the move, including Justin Gonzalez, Boston Red Sox, just got called up to AA. He was a hold on Bowman BHS a couple episodes ago, and I really wanted to give him a buy. A lot of people see the raw power and hit the monstrous build and all of that. What impresses me, I don't really care about that stuff right now. I care about the fact that he's got a really good approach. He's got a near 400 on base percentage, so I'm excited to see him move into AA at a young age. And I think that he can, if he shows up really well in AA, can fast forward that timeline because he's got a good approach and a good hit tool that many people don't know about. So keep an eye on him. He's creeping into buy territory. Next up, another call up, Ethan Conrad for the Chicago Cubs. I liked him. Coming out of the draft, there was a lot of hype around him. I kind of said, hold on, but then he hit really well. Then he got injured, but I think that call up to A+, he'll sit there for the rest of the year, of course. 350 OBP, which is okay, but a sub 20% K rate, a ton of upside, good floor hit tool. David Shields, we're going to throw some pitchers in. He threw an absolute masterpiece gem. 6 innings, 0 earned. I think he had 2 hits, 1 walk, 7 Ks. This is a teenage pitching prospect that not enough people are talking about. Everyone talked about Seth Hernandez. Everyone talked about Ryan Sloan. This guy is a stud lefty pitcher who is front end rotation, possible ace upside. And he's super young at a high level. Another call up, Emilian Petri. I always say his name wrong because I know the apostrophe and everything with the accent. Called up to AAA Syracuse for the Mets. Stags had him in a recent College to Chrome write-up for deadline moves that we're buying. And a week later, he gets called up. He gets on base, hits the ball well, plays good defense. Is there power upside? There has been some showings of it, but let's see how he does in AAA because he will get the call to the bigs before the end of the season. Josuar Gonzalez. Now, you guys know we do not jump the gun on DSL performance, whether it's Josuar Gonzalez or any other prospect in the Dominican Summer League. He came over to A-ball, 1,068 OPS in 16 games with 18 RBI and 9 extra base hits in his first games in stateside ball. Insane. Will he make my top 20 going to 2027? Find out later in the episode. Joshua Baez, who everyone knows about him, and I'll talk about it with the insiders. We had a great day where someone put up an auction of a card and he hit that 3 homers, and it's probably going to be the best-selling card of a while. We'll talk more about it in depth later on. Who could get called up next? Let's talk about it. Kade Anderson, it's time for Seattle. Ralphy Velazquez, it's time for Cleveland. Seaver King, it's time for the Nationals in Washington. Abrams is moving to second. We'll talk about all 3 of those in later segments, so stay tuned. We'll go in depth. Last one, Charlie Condon. It's not yet time for Colorado, and I know a lot of people have asked. We'll talk about him in an AMA question. Next up, Murph Gray. Good example of the Bowman market and prospecting. Listen, he's young. He had an unbelievable start to the season, but he slowed down. I had dozens of people in my DMs telling me, why are you not ranking Murph Gray? Why are you not talking about him more? And again, when I talked about prospects getting called up and take your time, do not worry if they're struggling. The same thing goes for the other side. If a guy is hitting the seams off the ball for a short period of time, people are telling me he's a top 25, top 30 prospect. Like, hold on. And it's okay. He's a great prospect. He'll be just fine. High A in Pittsburgh. I forget the city, but what is it? It's killing me, but I'll remember. The ballpark is one of the best hitter-friendly ballparks in all the minor leagues. You have Sammy Stafora took advantage of it. Jared Jones, to the Big Insider's favorite. Murph Gray. All those guys are hitting really well. You just have to wait to see when they get called up. And Murph Gray is hitting like 220 with a 25% K rate in Double A. And again, he'll be fine. It's early, but everyone was buying him on that jump. Opposite, if you like Murph Gray, buy him now. That's why when guys get called up, I say to wait, let them struggle a little bit. It happens almost every prospect. Buy and then find your way up. And then on the vice versa, if someone's really hot and you're not sure if it's going to last long, it probably won't, sell them. Just a thought on the Bowman market. And you should check out my Mastering the Bowman Market. I have a video on this YouTube channel. Subscribe and like and check it out. And I have a write-up on tothebigs.com telling you the big phases of a prospect's career and when you should buy and sell. Next up, Brady Ebel got called up to High A. First round pick from last year. Another Brewer, which is insane. These guys find prospects, scout them, develop them so well. He's a solid all-around hitter with an 850 OPS in A-ball at 18 years old in his pro debut. So keep an eye out. I want to see how he does in High A. He'll be there for the rest of the year. Next up, let's go to our To The Bigs favorites. And I want to call out Prospect Ping. Check out the app. This is not a paid drop or anything. I use Prospect Ping for all of my prospect following. I have the list of prospects in my roster, and I get notifications for every single at-bat, game summary. You could follow live. It takes you directly to the MiLB page. And I'm showing that because I like the app so much. I reached out to Prospect Ping, and they're featuring To The Bigs in the scouting page. So I'll show the video right here, and you can see 5 of my favorite To The Bigs favorites each month, and they'll change randomly. Now you can see all my To The Bigs favorites. I'll talk about my buy book and all of that shortly after this. A really good app, and I have the my referral code. Again, I don't get $1 for this. I am not looking to get paid or anything. I just really like the app. Really want to support the community. Anyone in the To The Bigs and prospecting community, I want to support. And this was an awesome app, so I really like it. I promise not a dime. I don't want anything. I just really like the app, and I suggest you guys use it, just like I can recommend anything for the community. So check it out. But let's talk about the To The Bigs favorites. Devin Taylor and Charles Davlin. I put them both together because they were 2 of my favorite hitters coming out of the 2025 draft. And everyone's talking about Charles Davlin. Rightfully so. They should. Not enough people are talking about Devin Taylor, and he's hitting just as well at Double A. He's hitting 340 with 49 RBI in 57 games. This guy can hit, and I loved him out of Indiana because he was a pro-ready hitter. Probably a pro-ready hitter, but he was a pro baseball ready hitter, meaning he was going to hit really well in the minor leagues. That's exactly what he's doing. Hits the ball to all parts of the field, hits for power, contact. He's just a great all-around prospect, and I think more people need to start talking about him, but both of those guys. Next up, Josue Paula, superstar upside. I think the Dodgers are going to be forced to have either JDP or Sirota on the playoff roster. We'll talk about which one is and which one won't, because my top 20 for 2027 will be only non-debuted prospects, so only one of these guys is going to make that list, so stay tuned. Next up, Cam Cannarella, starting to get hot in AAA after a little bit of a slow start after that promotion. Last 9 games, 321 with a 1-to-1 walk to K ratio. Is the Marlin system underrated? I answered that in the AMA questions as well. Braylon Payne just got called up to Double A. I compared him to Riley Green. Check out that video on the channel. I don't usually do player comps, but Braylon Payne liked my tweet that I posted with the video of that, and I think I did a good job of showing why they have similar swings, similar approaches, why there wasn't initially projected power for each of them, and then they increase that power projection because of the way that they swing the bat. So check that out. I really like Pena. I think he's got some swing issues just like Riley Green that he has to work through, but being that young at AA is really impressive. Excited for him to have this part of the year and early next year in that level. Another young kid, Hayden Alvarez, early as well in high A, but a 400 OBP in the first week there. That's what I want to see. Only a couple games, but he'll settle down an A+ for the rest of the year and show us if he's the real deal or not. And if he has a good A+, this is a guy who will shoot up a lot of those ranking lists where he's not there currently. Michael Arroyo and Josh Adamshevsky, we've heard these names 100 times. Michael Arroyo, the Taylor Ward move in Seattle at the deadline really angered me. I talked about it in the last episode, trade deadline special. Taylor Ward's doing what he did prior to getting traded. He's hitting 150 for the Mariners in his first 2 weeks. The left field spot, for those that don't know, Michael Arroyo is a second baseman who's been getting work in left field. Cole Young is one of the best second basemen in baseball. I've loved him for a long time, and he's showing it now. So left field was Arroyo's job. Taylor Ward got traded at the deadline. He's going to lose that job. Arroyo's going to get called up for that team, just a matter of when. 500 slugging and 280 average in AAA at 21 years old. He's ready for the MLB. Josh Adamshevsky just continues to hit. He's not spoken about enough. Same thing as Devin Taylor. 877 OPS with a sub 20% K rate in 45 games at AA at 21 years old. Great all-around prospect. Keep an eye on both of them. The big call-outs of the past. These are the guys that I like to call because I almost like them better than the favorites because they've hit different parts of To the Bigs, whether it's on the website or the show. First up, Wainer Luciano for the Houston Astros. He became a To the Bigs Insiders favorite when I featured him on the Insiders exclusive sleepers list. Part 4, which had, again, I've had 5 parts. I've covered 25 teams, sleeper picks for every single team. The last 5 are coming next week, so join the To the Bigs Insiders. Talk about that shortly. Luciano was a fan favorite because people could get his auto for like $2. Color auto parallels for like $15. Good ones. And called him out 3 weeks ago, and he won Houston Astros Minor League Player of the Month this past month, hitting like 1,000 plus OPS, near 500 OBP, like just hitting really well. And that's why I called him out as a sleeper, because he was a solid hitter, and that's exactly what he's doing. Mitch Voigt, we went to Binghamton. Stags and I did the cover from Binghamton Rumble Ponies. We did videos, we interviewed some prospects. One of the best hitting teams in all of the sport right now, even with the call-ups and everything. And Mitch Voigt was one of those prospects. My concern with Voigt when I had him as a hold on Bowman BHS a couple of weeks ago was that, is there real upside or not? Not really sure. He's got a 1.22 OPS in 16 games at AA, so there's some upside that he's showing right now. Can he continue to hold that throughout the season? Let's see. Next up, Henry Godbout made my sleepers for the Boston Red Sox and was one of the prospects I was eyeing in the beginning of the season. I called out. Then he got hurt. He was rehabbing for a while. He's back in AA. Excited to see how he plays for the rest of the summer. And he was a really upsetting miss out of the Bowman Chrome 2026 checklist. He'll probably be a 2027 Bowman baseball face, but it was upsetting to see him not on that list because I really, really like this kid alongside Franklin Arias in the future for the Red Sox. Someone who did make the list, a middle infielder who I love, is Jaden Loray for the Baltimore Orioles. He has one of the best contact rates in all of the sports, somewhere around 90%. And at such a young age, it's really exciting. We'll cover he's one of the Bowman Chrome chases that I love. We'll cover a full list of Bowman Chrome chases in episode 13, which is going to be dropping a week before the release of that set. So you'll want to stay tuned for the next episode. Finally, Josiah Ragsdale, struggling in Springfield after the trade to St. Louis, but he's going to be settled in AA. He's got plenty of time. I'm not worried. Again, the Brewers got really good value out of Ragsdale by trading him at peak value, but that doesn't mean Ragsdale's not going to be fine. He's going to be a great prospect. New names to watch. Christian Arguelles. I called him out very quickly in like an episode, but not enough. Again, same thing as Justin Gonzalez. Came over from DSL, so I didn't want to worry and jump all in until I see him perform at A-ball, and he's hitting really well early. 17 games, 14 RBI, so really want to keep an eye on him now that he is stateside. And Max Williams for Miami. New name for the show, but not on the website. Stax called him out in College to Chrome. And we'll talk more, like I said, about the Marlins system. Is it underrated? Find out later. Let's go into our players of the week. I pick a prospect at each level that I like that is hitting the seams off the ball, one of the best hitters in each of the levels. So let's get into it. In A and A+, this is a To the Bigs call out, soon to be favorite, and that is Welby and Francisca of the Cleveland Guardians. If you followed on social media, you've seen I've been posting a ton about him because he has had an unbelievable 2 weeks. He was one of my top 5 bounce back candidates going into 2026. He had a down year in 2025 after being a fringe top 100 prospect, and all the underlying metrics last year looked good. The top line slash was not great, but again, he was really young, in a nice level, and he is now showing what he's made of in high A. In the last 2 weeks, all of this data since August 8th, the last episode, 439 average, 936 slugging, 1500 OPS, 5 homers, 8 RBI, 7 doubles in 10 games. Love to see this. This guy should be a top 100 prospect again if he continues to hit this well, and I really, really liked him. Just a beautiful swing. The Guardians have a ton of young talent. It is really, really exciting. We'll get more into that in a second. In Double-A, how about another team that develops really well that I talked about? The New York Mets. Billy Amick. Now, he was promoted to Double-A, so he won't be in this level anymore. But the last 2 weeks, a 1.147 OPS, 6 homers in 10 games with 20 RBIs, 2 RBI a game. Crazy. He had a near 40% K rate during that time, so we want to keep an eye on that. He'll need to work on that in AAA, but he'll be situated in AAA Syracuse. Possibly get a late season call-up. We'll see. And finally, AAA. How about another Guardian? Like I said, a ton of prospects in that organization that I love. Ralphy Velazquez, 389, 476, 972 slash, 13 homer, 7 homer, and 13 RBI in 9 games. That's crazy. I think he had 2 multi-homer games. Call him up. Ralphie and Cooper Ingle need to be up. I know it's tough with positioning, but those two can hit, and that team needs hitters going into the playoffs. I don't care how many times you guys want to tell me Patrick Bailey as a catcher is that good in defense. They're not winning games. You guys, the shtick doesn't work anymore. Patrick Bailey is a 550 OPS. He's the worst statistical everyday hitter in the sport. And you have 100 people commenting on my future prospects, future Guardians list, telling me that Patrick Bailey needs to be there. It's not working anymore. You need hitters. I'm a Yankees fan. They don't have hitters. I know you need hitters. Anyways, Ralphy Velazquez, Billy Amick at Double-A, and MLB and Francisca at A and A+. Super exciting for all 3 of these guys. I talked about my 2 of the biggest favorites. I want to talk about the insiders. It's $30 a year, which is like $250 a month, or if you wanted to do $4 a month, that's fine. Either way, I promise you what I give you for that subscription is worth it. First up, you get exclusive content on the website. I do my sleeper series. So again, that's exclusive to the insiders. So favorite prospect picks, analysis exclusive to the insiders. So they get access first, can buy up those prospects early before I eventually release it to the public. You get access to the Discord, probably my favorite part of the entire insiders subscription. The Discord is awesome. A bunch of guys, fans of the show, fans of To The Bigs, that are prospectors. We talk Bowman, we talk prospects, thoughts, opinions, everything. Everyone's so nice. There's a Bowman buy hold trade thread. Recommend prospects for the show. And I'll tell you about the Josuar Baez story. We had one of the insiders have a Bowman Invicta gold PSA 10 Josuar Baez auto, and we were talking about it that he may get called up. So we were like, put it as an auction, and he put that up. And now we're all tracking it because Baez hit the 3 homers, and it is going for parabolic. It's going to be the highest sale for a Bowman Invicta ever. I don't know who else would be better, but we're all having a blast talking about it, and we give recommendations like that, not just me, everyone else, and it's a ton of fun. So I urge you to join it for that. And now we released the To The Bigs prospect buy book. It is an updated sheet. All the prospects, and I mentioned a lot of prospects and which ones you should buy and sell and all of that. All the guys I've mentioned as buys. There's about 35, 40 prospects right now. And again, they are shown by, I give priority buys. I say which ones are short-term versus long-term, risk level, cost of entry, with stats that update daily, and the buy rankings and all of that update weekly. And it's really helpful for you guys that follow me on all my different outlets, that you get to see kind of everything centralized to know which prospects you should buy. And then you can ask me about it in the Discord and we talk about it. All of that for like $250 a month. I promise you it's worth it. Again, I could have charged more. I don't need the money. It's about doing for the community and really getting to do this every day, which is what I love to do. So join. Let me know if you have any questions. The link is down in the description, but it's really a blast, and I really enjoy everyone in the insiders and all the fans in general. We have AMA. We have a new College to Chrome prospect. We have our cover story and Bowman by itself. We have so much to get to. So let's do our AMA. How do you determine guys to buy based off contact rates and swing rates when everyone has a 20+% K rate? It's a great question. Everyone does have a plus 20% K rate. The ones that don't are buys. The ones that do, for example, like Braylon Payne, right? The first thing I'll look at is OBPs. Do they get on base still? Can they effectively do what they need to do as a hitter, even with the high K rates? If that answer is yes, I also look at age and level. If you're a former college prospect who's 23 years old in A ball or A plus, and you have a 30% K rate and you're not getting on base enough, that's where I will say that that's a huge impact. Where you're a Braylon Payne, where you are ahead. You're ahead of level. You're ahead of, and you're still younger, and you're still effectively putting the ball in play, hitting homers, having the right slash, and all of that. That matters as well. So always look at age and level and whether they get on base. Then you start diving into the advanced metrics, right? Their swinging strike rate, their first pitch strike rate. Are they swinging and chasing, or are they just missing balls? And again, both aren't great, but I'd much rather get a prospect that is swinging through pitches that are strikes, making the right swing decisions, getting on base and walking, than a guy who is swinging at breaking balls in the dirt and chasing, and then how they swing at specific pitches. So you want to dive in deeper after some of those things, but high level, you want to look at age, level, OBP, and then you can start looking at swing strike rates and all of that. So that's where a lot of that differentiates whether a prospect is a guy that really doesn't have any hope as a swing and miss guy or can develop and get better. That's my take on that. Next up, is the Marlins system underrated? We talked about this with a couple prospects. Yes. I talked about Cam Camarella. We talked about Max Williams. We talked about Jacob Lombard. They draft pretty well, but more importantly, they do a really good job of scouting teams. Obviously, we know that they sell at the deadline, almost every deadline besides this one. They, even though they technically accumulated a prospect, I love the acquisition of Jonathan Long. I think that's the type of prospect, just like Jacob Marcy they figured out, Augustin Ramirez, who has ups and downs, guys that can come up and make an impact. Obviously, Kyle Stowers. I love Jonathan Long as a guy that can do that. They always find the right talent in the league. It comes from the Yankees a lot, of course, my team, but they do a good job at finding talent, and I do really like them. They just don't keep the talent, and hopefully they can start to do that as they kept Xavier Edwards, Sandy Alcantara, Otto Lopez, and all of those. Next up, what's up with Charlie Condon? We talked about this before. It would have been his time in Colorado, but it's not just yet because he's had a really tough month. 167, the K rate's back up over the last 21 days. He'll get back into it. I think he'll get the late season call up, but the reason why they're not just saying like go throw him up there is because he actually is struggling right now for a while, and he always had K rate issues and kind of got off the like streaky starts. So you don't want to ruin his mentality by bringing him up when he's not ready. I think he'll figure it out and he'll come back up. And I said that Colorado Rockies system on Baseball America on MLB Pipeline has shot up to like a middle of the pack system. I talked about them being an underrated system for a long time. And you see a lot of these guys are already in the big. Zach Veen, Cole Carrick, Kyle Karros, I really love. Adiel Amador, I always liked him. He's back. I'm really excited to see him get a chance this summer to continue to hit, and then eventually Condon, and then you have some of those guys that they didn't trade at the deadline too. So an exciting team. They can just figure out pitching. They could be a team that could surprise people next year. A and A+ prospects who are settled in there and won't get called up. I'm going to give you a few that won't and a few that will. Talking about the top guys, and this leads into nicely our cover story. Guys who I don't think will get called up past the level they are at right now at the lower levels: Roldy Brito, Steele Hall just got out of Complex League, Emil Morales, Kevin Alvarez, Uniker Caceres, and Dax Kilby because it's early. He just came back from injury. Those are guys in those lower levels, not on 40-man rosters, who I like and I would add because of the fact that if there's a lockout, they're likely still going to play. I don't think the minors will go on strike with the majors, and anyone who's not on a 40-man roster will still play. Those are guys you want to keep that aren't necessarily impacted by the timing of losing the 2027 year at the pro level. Guys who could move up at that level. Let's go with the back-to-back LA Dodgers. Davelin and Quintero will both move up to AA before the season ends. And what's stopping them? I think it's the other two guys at AA that aren't called up yet, and that's Mike Sirota and Josue DePaula. Once those two spots open up, they will move up, and I think that's just insane. Like if we get that announcement one day, Sirota and DePaula move up to AAA, and Davelin and Quintero move up to AA. Again, why is this team not the number one or number two farm system in baseball? It amazes me with just those four guys. But I think Davelin and Quintero will move up shortly. And stay tuned for my top 20 of 2027. We'll surprise some people there. Finally, love Jesus Mate. Must be a Brewers fan or just a fan of prospecting. Why are his autos double the price of Leo Vries, Josue to Paula, Franklin Arias, etc.? I'll add Rainiel Rodriguez in there. Because we talked about this, the Bowman market is not long-term performance driven. It is hype and FOMO. The general market sees Mate because MLB Pipeline has pumped him up. He is great. Forget this. He's a top 3 prospect in baseball, all of that. But the reason why he's so much more expensive is because even last year, they were talking about him as the next generation 17-year-old superstar from the DSL league. And since then, it has been all about Jesus Mate. He's a stud. He's a great prospect, but there's no reason he should be double the price of those other guys I mentioned who are all superstar upside prospects. So it's because the Bowman market is all hype driven. Look at Joshua Baez this week, hitting 3 homers, going for more than every single prospect on the face of the earth, almost, because of that one game, not because of long-term performance, because of short-term performance. And again, he was hitting 35 homers in the minors, but he was never seeing that type of influx. People go, the general public goes and goes, oh, I got to add this guy. He's the next superstar. That's how the Bowman market works. That's where you take advantage of the Bowman market, and that's why I give my recommendations that I do. Speaking of, that noise keeps getting louder and louder every episode. It is booming in my ear. It is the Rainiel tracker, and every single episode that we talk about the Rainiel tracker, I get more and more excited to talk about that tracker. And here's why. One of the best hitting prospects in the sport. Anyone could argue that he's not a top 3 prospect if they want and blame it on the defense and things like that. Nobody can argue that he's a top 3 hitting prospect in baseball. Nobody can argue that. He is. End of story. He's a top 3 hitting prospect in the sport. The people on Twitter are starting to talk about him, showing the numbers. He's got a better OPS, better average, more power, more extra base hits than Leo Vries and Jesus Mate at AA in the same time frame. In a shorter time frame, he's better than all of those. He's doing everything and more that I asked from him. And for those that don't know, the Rainiel tracker was created because in the beginning of the season, I had a couple bold predictions. My bold prediction for Rainiel was that he started out in A+, he was going to get called up, not just to AA, but to AAA, and he was going to hit 35 homers. He is already in AA, one of the best hitters in that level at his age, which is one of the youngest prospects in that level. He will get that call up to AAA, so I hit that one. That's no question. 35 homers, he's a little short because he had that really 3-4 week stretch where he was not as the power. He got called up. He was struggling a little bit. I'm not worried because he's actually creeping up towards an average of or projecting of 30. He's got 18 total, 63 RBI, 922 OPS for the year, 33% hard hit rate, 20% K rate. What I love since August 4th, 359, over 1,000 OPS, 2 homers, 6 RBI in 10 games. The hard hit rate is up 2% these past 2 weeks for his yearly total. That's how hard he's hitting the ball. His K rate's down a full percentage point just from these past 2 weeks. So he's doing everything right, going in the direction that we need him to. And again, top 3 hitting prospect, number 1 hitting prospect for me. And I think that the defense isn't as bad as a lot of people are saying. So unbelievable what he's doing. I'm so excited to see him continue to keep growing. And that'll go into our next segment after this, where we'll talk about predicting the top 20 of 2027. But first, we have a new College of Chrome prospect. You guys love these guys. Everyone, for those that don't know, College of Chrome is prospects who are hitting, that came from NCAA superstars over to Bowman Chrome in the minor leagues, and Stags will pick one each episode to highlight as one that we want to add. Some of the recent ones were Jared Jones, Caden Powell of the Houston Astros, Trevor Cohen of the San Francisco Giants, and Jared Thomas of the Colorado Rockies. And all those guys are hitting really well, off to great starts this year. And we have another one, and this one is one that you're going to want to keep an eye on after all that Joshua Baez pump up and excitement. So check it out.
Before I get into this week's spotlight, I want to say I'll be releasing a written piece next week highlighting my favorite college players that are on the bubble of getting that September call-up. So you guys can invest early. You can get that kind of premium, as you just saw with Joshua Baez on the St. Louis Cardinals, having that explosion on his debut. So I'll give you guys some players that I think are going to get called up and have that really good, strong college background. Talking about college players that are knocking on the door for their first call-up, let's look no further than this week's spotlight player, Seaver King, who has 4 home runs in his last 8 games in AAA, where he's also hitting .469 in that span. But before we get into his minor league stats a little bit deeper, let's take a look back at his collegiate career starting at Division II school Wingate. And this is not something that we've seen across some of the players I've highlighted, kind of going all the way back from Division II and working their way up to become a first-round pick. But Seaver King, when he started Division II, across his 2 seasons, he hit .400 with a 12% K rate. He had over 60 extra base hits, 15 of those being home runs, and that really put himself on the map. And when he was in the transfer portal, Wake Forest was willing to give him a chance to play, and he went into that team and really kept the ball rolling, where he hit .308 with 16 home runs, 64 RBIs, almost had a walk to K rate of about 1, where he had 25 walks and 34 strikeouts. Again, had a very manageable K rate when you're going from D2 to D1, only jumping from 12% to 13%. Again, highly good contact hitter, and was still able to translate what he was doing at a high level from D2 to D1. Enter the Washington Nationals, who would end up taking Seaver King with a 10th overall pick in the 2024 draft. They had high expectations, similar to other players that just came out of Wake Forest, with both Chase Burns and Nick Kurtz, who both exploded onto the map and are performing at super high levels, with Nick Kurtz going off last year and Chase Burns dominating almost every start. But that didn't go the same way for Seaver King in his first professional season, where he hit .244, only had 6 home runs, had a 22% strikeout rate, was chasing a lot. So there was kind of a little bit of concern about Seaver King and what was going to happen. Enter him going to the Arizona Fall League. He ended up hitting .359 across 18 games. And the biggest thing was he was able to drop his chase rate from 36% to 26%. And with those adjustments he made in the Arizona Fall League, they translated right away in his 2026 minor league season, where he's hitting .316 across both AA and AAA. The biggest thing, he has 37 extra base hits, 14 of those being home runs. So again, that power's coming back, where he only hit 6 last year. He's already up to 14. He has 59 RBIs, and his stolen bases are up to 11. So again, his chase rate dropping has really brought back the Seaver King that the Nationals loved coming out of Wake Forest and drafted with that first round pick. And why I'm so high on this player is the Nationals even just came out and said they're moving CJ Abrams off the shortstop and moving him to second base, opening up that shortstop position for the future. And Seaver King already crushing it in AAA. Again, as I kind of said, opening up this video, he has 4 home runs in his last 8 games. He's hitting .469 in those 8 games. So again, this player is getting hot at the right time. He knows that, again, with that first round pick, that he's going to be someone that they're going to give a good and long look at. So I expect him to get the call up, if not by the time this video is released, by next week the latest. So this is a great time to buy in on Seaver King's cards, also in fantasy, because I think he's going to have that longer look, and there's still going to be time before Eli Willits gets that elongated look at shortstop.
Thank you, Stags. I think Seaver King's an exciting one with all the Joshua Baez hype. Get really excited for a guy like that who could make an impact really quickly at the big league level in his debut. Let's get into the top 20 prediction of 2027 cover story. A few considerations here. One, I was going to do assuming or predicting the MLB Pipeline's top 20, but because they just released their top 100 and I was very angry at it, I switched it up. I'm going to do mine. This does not mean that these are going to be my top 20 prospects of 2027, but I think that these guys are all trending in this direction. Now, remember what I said about rankings. Don't worry about who's at 7 versus 8 or that. These are all guys I think are hitting really well, really exciting, guys who will be top prospects. Now, these are non-debuted, meaning I'm assuming that these guys will not debut in the bigs. So there are 3 guys that don't make that list because of that. Franklin Arias, Josue Briseño, and Mike Sirota, I think, are the 3 that are going to debut. Like I said, between JDP and Sirota, I think Sirota gets it first because he's older, so I think JDP won't. Josue Briseño is hitting really well, just got called up AAA. I think he may see an end-of-season call-up, and Franklin Arias, I think, gets called up regardless. With that being said, there's 4 prospects who just missed the top 20. Luis Pena, Milwaukee Brewers. Ethan Salas is hitting tremendous in AAA, but I'm not ready to give him top 20 yet. JoJo Parker, and Zaire Hope of now the Detroit Tigers. Let's do it. Number 20, Roldy Brito. I like him a little bit more than Pena. Same issue, though. They both need to work on getting on base. You could probably flip-flop both of these guys in A+ and AA for Pena, but I really like Brito at such a young age for what he's been doing. 19, Ryan Sloan. Upside is there. Consistency is key. Let's see how he does. 18, Bryce Rayner. Everyone told me in the beginning of the year when I said buy him, that I was crazy and got mad at me because he got off to a slow start. And look at what he's doing. One of the hottest hitters in A+ since June. He will get called up to AA, I think, at some point. Number 17, Grady Emerson, one of 2 draft picks. I don't rank draft picks very high, but it's hard to not rank these 2 guys in here. So I think he is a top 20 prospect with a ton of upside. Again, he's a few years out, but really exciting. 16, Emil Morales, 5-tool upside, hitting really well at such a young age in high A. Will he get called up to AA? Let's see. But he's really young. I don't think so. But you never know. 15, let's get a little exciting and change it up here. Josh Adamszewski. Yes, I think this is a McGonagall-like bat who will continue to develop. And if he has the same type of development jump as he did last winter, he will be that type of prospect that should jump up into ranks. Number 14, a guy who's already up here, Theo Gillen. Now, I wanted to see how he did in AA, and he's hitting really well in AA. The big thing is he wasn't like this last year. Just like I said about Adamszewski being a huge jump this year, I think, and some other guys I'll talk about. Will he bring it through the offseason into next season? Let's see, but he's hitting really well, and the Rays believe in him. So if they believe in him, I'm going to start believing in him. 13, Josue Gonzalez. This is the type of guy who I don't jump the gun on DSL performance. Came over to A-ball, hitting the lights off, out of control. The 5-tool upside is there. This is the type of guy just like Jesus Mate that can jump up ranks really quickly. But the difference with Mate is he jumped up those ranks when he was already still in DSL. Prospectors were ranking him up in the top 20. Gonzalez can have a good spurt in A-ball, so enough of a background to put him this high. Number 12, Seth Hernandez. He would be higher, but because he got hurt, you just need to deal with the rehab and not getting those starts in development. So we would have been like 7 or 8. He's 12 here. You want to get crazy? Let's do it. This is my guy. You can probably guess. Number 11, Charles Davalin. Yes, I think he is so severely underranked right now. I already said he's a top 50 prospect. He's number 30 for me. He's going to shoot up more every single time I update my rankings. He keeps hitting the ball well. When he gets called up to AA, he's going to hit well. And he will be the type of guy that because he's hitting well in AA, everyone will catch up and rank him this high. Number 10, Sebastian Walcott. I didn't have him this high before because that injury is gruesome and it took time. I want to see him take time to come back and figure it out, but he's hitting really well right away. The big issue with him is can he continue to hit the ball with consistency? The upside's there. When he puts the ball in play, it jumps off the bat. He's fast, athletic, everything. Can he hit consistently? And so far showing that he can. Number 9, Roch Cholowsky, the other draft pick from this past draft. 5-tool upside, super exciting bat, already in A-ball. Really excited to see how he ends up this year. Number 8, how about another former number 1 overall pick, Eli Willits? Walks more than he strikes out at a young age in high A. Really exciting. A lot of people have him even like 3, 4. I think this is just fair. Really exciting kid. Number 7, Alfredo Duno. Pro-ready bat before he got injured. He was hitting really well in AA, like a 900-something OPS, like 290 average. He hits for power, contact, everything. He's going to work on the other parts of his game, defensive as a catcher, speed, all of that, but just a tremendous pro-ready hitter right now. Number 6, Caleb Bonemer was one of my other bold predictions outside of Rainiel Rodriguez that said he would hit for a 950 OPS in AA and be a consensus top 10 prospect by end of season. I think he's close to a 950 OPS in AA right now. He's going to hit like 35 homers, but the big thing is that the K rate has gone down and the slash line, just like I said, for a kid his age, young, even with that K rate, he's able to get on base consistently and hit for a solid average. So really exciting future prospect, third baseman for the Chicago White Sox. Number 5, Eduardo Quintero, 5-tool upside, just stole his 40th base. The power was a bit missing for about a month of the season, and he was still hitting like 290 with a great slash. Now the power's back. He's a all-around prospect. Crazy to me that the Dodgers were not a top 2 farm system on Baseball America when I literally just mentioned Emil Morales. I talked about Charles Davalin, and I just brought up Eduardo Quintero, and you could say that there's 2 other prospects that are better than all of those, and that's insane. And how are they not ranked? Anyways, number 4, Jesus Mate. Yes, mostly a number 1 prospect for others, but it's exciting. 5-tool prospect. Is the long-term power that high? I don't know. That's probably why he's slightly below these guys. Number 3, Leo Vries. Again, true 5-star upside shortstop with that power profile potential. So that's why I like him a little bit more. Number 2, Josue Paula. Again, superstar upside bat. Contact, power, speed, on base. A Yordan Alvarez type with speed. Maybe not 330, 340 hitter, but 280 with a 400 OBP with 30 something homers, 50 stolen bases. Unbelievable potential from this guy. And number one, you guessed it, Rainiel Rodriguez, a guy who can hit 300 with 35, 40 homers in the bigs. Can he develop as a catcher? I'm not counting it out yet. People are saying at 19 that he's done developing. And any prospect at 19 years old is not done developing. He's already some word from camp that he is developing well as a catcher and he's getting some reps at first base. So that's what I want to see him develop in the offseason. And he will be a consensus top 3 prospect. It's just a matter of time that people stop discounting the fielding and start understanding how good of a hitter this guy is. So here's my list right in front of my dog, 1 through 20. Some guys I'm really excited about. Rainier at 18, Emil Morales at 16. I think Adam Shevsky's a sleeper. I love the fact that Davelin at 11. I think he's going to shoot up ranks. People are going to talk about him way more. Alfredo Duno, really exciting prospect that I think has gotten hurt a few times and all of that. So gets under the radar. Quintero does not get talked about enough because there's so many prospects in that system. And of course, Rainiel Rodriguez will shoot up other people's rankings as well. Again, don't worry about that. Don't worry about rankings, period. Pick the guys from these lists that you are excited about, and I would focus on, if there's a potential lockout, by the guys that aren't going to be on 40-man rosters and won't be impacted by that season. A lot of these guys have a potential to debut, but you really want to keep an eye on ones that won't be impacted by a possible year off. That is my top 20 of 2027 cover story. Now let's get into your favorite segment. I got 11 prospects on Bowman Buy, Hold, Sell, including Jesus Mate. So let's begin. First up, Josuar Baez, 3 homers in his debut, 0 for 5 with 3 Ks in his following. That's what he's going to be. I'm selling. I don't care. I didn't even look at the price. I know. I talked about the insiders. He's going insane right now. I think I did see one was going for over like $200 for his first Bowman. Sell it. Take advantage of the Bowman market. He could have 500 homers for his career. He will not go for what he's going for right now. Next up, Luis Pena, $70. I told you we just missed my top 20. I'm going to hold on that. Just got called to AA. It's had an up and down year, some bad luck. He got injured. Scary beginning of the season where I think he was carted off the field. He's back healthy, called up to AA. Really good prospect. I'm really excited to see, but at $70, I want to hold and see how he fares in AA at such a young age. Roldy Brito, $30. I'm going to give him a buy. Very similar, as I talked about in the top 20, to Pena on what he needs to work on, but it's half the price, right? So if I can get Roldy Brito $30, whereas Pena $70, I'm going to hold Pena. I'll buy Brito, even though there could be a tad bit more of risk. Very similar structure of a prospect, and for that cheap, I like what he's doing in high A. Next up, Juan Sanchez, $20. I'm going to hold. Now, I've been excited about Juan Sanchez for a while. And remember what I said, do not change your outlook on a kid early. It's been 80 games stateside. Seems like a lot. He's like 18, 19 years old. He's chasing a lot early, which is a concern, but I want to give it time. I think a full winter of development is going to be great for him, and he will come back into A and A+ next year and still be very young and work through some of those issues. So I am holding him. Do not sell on him. It's very exciting. He's a really young, high upside prospect. Next up, I mentioned him earlier, got called up by the Brewers to high A. Brady Ebel. I at $30 am going to hold. Just got called up. He's going to have some ups and downs because of the fact he's so young. So no reason to try and buy him right when he gets called up. The premium on that is not worth it. And I wouldn't sell him because he is so young and it's not really that expensive. So he had a solid year in A-ball. Let's see how he does in high A. And again, in the right system where it's a crowded system, so it's hard to justify values, but one that can develop hitters really well. So I would like to hold it at $30. Next up, Arun Escobar, Philadelphia Phillies. I really liked him going to the season, got to see him live. Looked like a good bat, and he's just struggling. So at $20, I'm going to sell. It's been a while. It's not like I'm saying he's struggling short term. He's had over 100 games in AA, not much success. So again, could he pick it up? Sure. And if he does and you want to buy back in, you can, but there's too much opportunity elsewhere. So let's see how he does throughout the offseason. But at $20, I'll sell, take the profit, go somewhere, and then see how he does next year after a full winter. Next up, Zach Root, pitcher for the LA Dodgers, $25. I'm going to sell. I'm very picky with pitchers, and I don't know if he's got ace upside. A lot of scouts have him as a middle rotation type of guy, even though he was a first-round pick. I just, especially in that organization where, again, you have to determine going in on someone who they have 9 starting pitchers, even after trading River Ryan. So even if he's a crushing it, you have Zazueta. I can never say his name right. I called out as one of my top pitcher buys going into the season, and he's one of the best pitching prospects in terms of performance in the league. It's hard to justify $25 for a first-round draft pick right now, who I don't know if there's true ace upside, so I'm selling. Next up, Jesus Baez. Not Joshua Baez, but St. Louis Cardinal as well. $36 for first Bowman, which is pretty pricey. I'm going to hold. I like the slash line. I'd usually sell here on a guy who hasn't had a good career and is hitting really well, almost like a flash in the pan, but it's been a really long stretch where he's hitting well, and he will get called up at some point, probably next year if there's baseball. So I'm going to hold it and see how he does. The OBP isn't that great. He's pull heavy, doesn't hit lefties very well. See, all these things are generally what I'd sell on, but because I do think that he will get called up, and he is a fan favorite for the St. Louis Cardinals, a lot of people were really excited in the comments when I did my future prediction of that roster. Hold on to him and sell him when he gets called up, but definitely take advantage of that sell on the call up. Next up, Jamie Arnold, $40 first Bowman. Just talked about being picky with pitchers. I'm going to stay that way. Sell $40. It's tough for a pitcher at that value, especially when they're kind of struggling. And again, if he shows some life, which he did, he showed some life in the Futures game, which I got to see live. His family was sitting right behind us. I like the prospect, I really do. But $40 for a pitcher first Bowman when he's struggling a little bit, I'm just going to sell it and take that profit because there's a lot you can get for that $40. Carlos Vera Honda, Arizona Diamondbacks. To the Bigs Insiders know, I just called him out as a sleeper on Faves and Sleepers Part 5. $8 first Bowman, I'm buying. He just made that list. Let me tell you what I said. Carlos does a lot right. Solid behind the plate, hits for good contact, gotten better as he moved up levels. Biggest knock on him is did he have projectable power? As you know, that's nothing that I'm worried about as a 19-year-old going into 2026. This year, power's there. 17 homers, 81 games, 512 slugging across A&A+. He's MLB Pipeline's number 9 Diamondbacks prospect, and many had him projected as a backup catcher until this season. See, power does not matter early. Every scout said he didn't have power. Comes in, he's hitting 17 homers at 19 years old, 20 years old in high A. He's shorter, stockier kid with a quick load up, which allows him to adjust and hit all types of pitches well. The hit tool is good. Can the power be maintained? If so, he's more of a future starting catcher than a backup. $8 Bowman, buy the risk on that. It's worth the value and see how he does long term. Finally, Jesus Mate, $305 first Bowman. Sell it. The fan who asked the question in the AMA said it best. Why is he going for double guys that are hitting the same and are as good as him? Because it's all about hype. This guy is an absolute stud. There is no denying that. There is no denying that he will be the number 1 prospect for MLB Pipeline going into 2027, but he's already the number 1 prospect. The hype is as high as it could be until he gets called up to the bigs, which again, if you want to hold that for that premium, that's fine, but he's already at that premium. $305 for a first Bowman. You could sell that and buy the Paula and the Vries. Or you could buy a color of one of those. I like Mate. There's nothing against him. That market is too good to pass up. He would have to go on an absolute spree. He's already the number 1 prospect. He would have to go on an absolute spree, get called up at 19 and a half, 20 years old, which he could next year if there's baseball. That's another concept of this, is that he'll be so good in AA, going up to AAA at some point. That will impact him that next year lockout. So I'm selling $300. That's crazy for a first Bowman, even for a guy who is going to be a potential star type prospect in baseball. So sell on him. Vera Honda, buy at $8. Sell Jamie Arnold. Hold Jesus Baez. Sell Joshua Baez. Sell Zach Root. Sell Aaron Escobar. Hold Brady Ebel. Hold Sanchez. Buy Brito. Hold Luis Pena. Someone on Facebook said, this guy puts so many prospects, he names so many prospects out there that anyone could hit that. Obviously it's Facebook, so I'm not worried, but it's funny because they must not watch the Farm Report or Bowman Buy Hold Sell, because I sell on 70% of the prospects you guys recommend because I'm very picky. And in my buy book it says 40 prospects, but I recommend to all the insiders, do not buy 40 prospects. You buy the select ones, keep your inventory small, and that will be better for you in the long run. That is Bowman Buy Hold Sell. that is our episode. Thank you guys. Episode 13 will be about 2026 Bowman Chrome. I promise you, it'll release a week before, so you'll be getting into your breaks. You'll know exactly who to buy. And like I said, if you check out my chase lists from Bowman Chrome, draft, everything, I usually have a couple big name, good names in there. My big one was Devin Fitzgerald from last one. Kevin Alvarez was my number one, and obviously we know what he's doing from Bowman Chrome last year. So check that out. Episode 13 will be a blast, but this one was great. Let me know what you think. To the Bigs Insiders, check out Prospect Ping, awesome app, and I can't wait to continue to talk with you guys. This was awesome. I will see you next time on the Farm Report.